The Game of Life and How to Play It is a stable book in a lot of attraction and a lot of assumption community because it contains just basically everything that you need to know to start off on this journey. It is so rich in content that I wanted to start a series in which we go through it chapter by chapter so we can dissect it and talk about it together. First, I have to make a premise. This book, like many other Florence Shinn books, make continuous references to the Bible, to what's written in it, and to the teachings of Jesus Christ. To make the precious contents of this book more accessible to everyone, including those who are not particularly religious in that sense, I will be using words like infinite intelligence, spirit, God, the universe, wherever the author mentions something that's typically of the Christian values. I personally do believe that all religious scriptures make references to the power of the word, the power of the mind, love, manifestation, but that's just a personal belief of mine, and you can still take away a lot from this book even if you don't really recognize yourself in the exact wording that the author is using. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please leave a like under this video so I know that you have enjoyed it, and maybe even subscribe to my channel so you can see more of this. So let's start off with the first chapter, which is simply called The Game. The book starts off by saying that life is a game that is meant to be played, and in order to play it well, one must know the spiritual law. The author promises that this is the law that will be explained in this book so everyone can learn it and unlock their best life, their true potential. The game of life is called a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This basically means that whatever you send out into the universe with your thoughts, your intentions, your emotions, your words, and your actions will come back to you. And that is the basic just law of karma that we all know. If you do harm to someone, harm will be returned to you. If you give love, acceptance, forgiveness, joy to someone, that also will come back to you. But do not fall under the illusion that you only must do good for others so that you can receive good in return, because that hides other intentions that are egoistical, and those intentions are ultimately what will come back to you. The point that the author makes in this first chapter is what man imagines will be externalized in his world. This is the strongest statement that the author makes in this first chapter, followed up with an explanation. If you fear a disease, you're more likely to fall ill to it. That's because your imagination will bring it to you. And the reason for that is the things that we focus our thoughts on, our imagination, our feelings on, we give energy to those things, and at the same time we bring ourselves to the same vibration as them. So if you spend a considerable amount of time worrying about something, worrying about a disease, that obviously does not make you feel good, and it lowers your state of being to the frequency on which that disease, that worry exists on, and therefore you're more likely to experience it because you're more likely to attract it. That's why, and the author says that we must train our imagination so that we can bring into our lives only the right desires of the heart. That is underlined by the strong opinion that man is simply destined to make his own creations in the world. Whatever you create in your mind, you're destined to see in the world surrounding you. Everything you imagine, everything you desire, everything you fear, everything you worry about is always externalized in the physical reality. Sometimes some things might externalize in a way that is not obvious or easy to understand, but you must understand that every single aspect of your reality as it is right now comes from a certain thought, belief, desire, worry, anxiety that you have had at some point in your life in the past. That's because everything you see in your mind is created by you. It is not real until the very moment you think of it. It is not in your reality until the very moment you see it in your mind's eye. And your mind is the place where those things get processed and then manifested into your reality. A simple example is, once again, worrying. When you worry about something, it is because you imagine something negative happening to you, something that has not happened yet. There is no guarantee that this thing will happen to you, yet you still worry about it. You act as if it has already happened, and you put usually very strong emotion into it. And by worrying about it, by thinking about it over and over again, by imagining yourself in that negative situation and trying to figure out what would you do if that really happened, you give power to that feeling of worry. You give power to that situation that does not exist yet. But you are the one who allows it to materialize in your reality. Because without your thought, without your worry, that situation would not exist. It starts existing in your mind and then it comes to fruition in your reality. The author obviously explains why this happens, and they say, the subconscious mind is power without direction. So your subconscious is just brutal force, brutal power. It has no intelligence and it acts in a very simple way. What a man feels or images deeply will be executed by the subconscious on the external. Therefore, your subconscious is pure power, and what can impress it is the conscious human mind. But there is just one problem about the conscious human mind. It simply sees life as it appears to be. And this is the exact wording used by the author. The author says, as life appears to be and not as life is, because the simple human limited mind does not see the reality of things. It only sees the appearance of those things in the way that they manifest in this specific moment in time, in this specific timeline of version of the material reality. It does not see the potential behind things. It does not see ideas, emotions. It does not see anything that exists beyond what's material. And on top of that, it also adds its own judgment to what it sees. So we can understand how the human mind is simply deceiving. That is also why we are able to see the same situation into completely different lights. We can switch the judgment that our human mind puts onto things, so the same situation can be seen both as a change to be feared or as an opportunity for growth. The same situation can be either a failure or a valuable lesson. The same situation can be seen either as one thing ending or another thing starting. And that's why the conscious human mind is not to be trusted. It is to be trained and to be used in a way that will bring you the most profit. The way we can influence our human mind is through what the author calls the God mind. The God mind is basically the superconscious, and it is the realm of perfect ideas. The God mind exists within every single one of us. It is accessible through your spiritual practice, being mindful, being present, practicing peace, stillness, love, forgiveness, through meditation or journaling or shadow work or whatever kind of practice really works for you. The superconscious or the divine mind holds the divine design of each person. That means that your superconscious, the God mind within you, knows exactly where to lead you, knows exactly where you're supposed to go to fulfill what is called your soul purpose. It knows exactly the kind and the size of the success, the abundance and the joy that you're capable of receiving in this lifetime. In fact, the author states that There is a place that you are to fill that no one else can fill. Something you are ought to do which no one else can do. And they call it man's true destiny. To put it in a more simple way, it is what you truly feel called to do and to achieve in this life. It is the thing you dream about achieving or doing or creating. It sometimes is something that might seem irrational to your human mind, but something inside of you always makes you think about that thing and desire that thing. The author says that it is often seen as an unattainable ideal, something too good to be true. So it is basically the dream life that you desire so bad, that you want to manifest so bad, and sometimes you doubt if you are even able to really have that thing. Sometimes you're not sure if you're worthy of that thing, but that is simply the thinking of the human mind, which, once again, does not see the reality of things. This is why whenever you manifest, it is important to not only ask about the thing that you actually want to manifest, but to always remember to also ask for your highest good or the divine selection for you. That is because when the human mind gets in the way, sometimes you might be asking for something that is not your true desire. Maybe it's something that you have been conditioned to think that you have to have or have to want by society, or sometimes you might be even asking for less than what you are actually capable of or less than what you deserve. Once again, because your human mind gets in the way and makes you feel like you do not deserve, you're not worthy of anything more than that. This asking for the highest good or for the divine selection comes through a practice of trust. Trust there is a part of you that knows what's best for you better than your rational mind does. There is a sparkle of the God mind inside of you that knows exactly where to lead you, even if that does not feel rational at all. And this is where the author talks about intuition. Intuition means to be taught within, and intuition is the God mind inside of you guiding you. It often guides you through hunches, which are an accentuation of your intuition, and those might be an irrational need to do something that does not quite make sense. It might be the need to go somewhere even though you haven't been planning on that. It might be the need to focus on a specific thing while you have been working on a whole different project altogether. It might be talking to a specific person or doing a random research on the internet. It could be pretty much anything. Do not ignore those hunches because they are your guidance. They are the guidance that you need and that you have been asking for if you want to walk your divine path and your purpose. Then the chapter slowly comes to a close and the author just underlines that there is always plenty on man's pathway and it can be brought forth, therefore manifested through desire, faith, and the spoken word. But what is important is that man shall make the first move. And therefore, ask and it shall be given you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. You have to desire something, but that's not enough. You also have to ask for it. That's also not enough. You have to put your faith in it and your trust in whatever spiritual force it is that you believe in that will deliver it to you. Infinite intelligence is always ready to carry out every demand because once you start the law in action by desiring, having faith, and speaking a word onto it, you simply have to receive it. And that is simply the law. If you follow those actions, desiring, having faith, and speaking a word onto it, which means asking, which means in practice, whatever really works for you. It might be journaling, it might be scripting, it might be visualizing, it might be praying. Once you do all of that, you simply have to receive it. There is no way you cannot receive it, because that is the law. And the only thing that can stand in man's way is doubt and fear. But the truth is, fear is only inverted faith. Fear is not real. The only thing that's real is faith. And fear is simply having faith in the bad rather than in the good. So if you're able to fear something, worry about something, you're also able to believe in something that is positive to you. You simply have to direct your faith that exists all the time inside of you towards the right direction, towards what you desire. And once you can wish without worrying about how, about the when, about the why, the desire will be fulfilled. And so the object of the game of life is to get rid of all mental pictures of evil and impress the subconscious mind with our belief in good. So you have to have a conviction that only good can happen to you and only good can manifest for you. And this is the way that this chapter ends. So to sum it up, it has been a pretty intense chapter, pretty intense first chapter of a book that already lays out in front of you all the fundamentals of what you need to win the game of life. We will then be getting deeper into it as we dig into the next chapters. If you found this interesting, please stick around for the next one, and you will also find me on my social media linked below for any updates. Thank you.